Well, we've had some pretty cold and nasty weather for the last couple of weeks. It's not really looking promising for seeding this this fall, although it might warm up again and we might have a chance to do some seeding. There are advantages and disadvantages to seeding in the fall and the spring. The advantage to seeding in the fall is that we don't have to do seed stratification. The advantage to seeding in the spring is that it gives us another shot at all the winter annuals that are sure to come up, even though we sprayed most of the areas that we're going to plant a month or so ago. Lauren Stoffel mounted most of the seeds that we've purchased so far. This isn't all of them, but I think it makes a very striking visual presentation. The differences in seed morphology, I always find interesting when they're side by side. Many seeds are programmed to have a period of dormancy, and this allows them to not germinate in the fall and then come up in the spring. And that way they're not exposed to frost damage, and which can potentially kill them if they germinate in the winter. So that causes a bit of a problem. The seeds need to, if we plant in the spring, we have to do something to them known as stratification. Stratification is kind of a misleading term. We're not actually stratifying the seed in any way, but the origins of stratification in regards to seed comes from bearing seeds in soil strata. And basically what we want to do to stratify a seed is to keep it at conditions at about 39 degrees. It's the temperature of the typical refrigerator, and keep them at 100% humidity. We have quite a few seeds that need to be stratified. There's this pallet, and then on the other side of all the seeds that we're not going to stratify, there's another large group. Normally, to stratify small amounts of seeds, we would just simply put them in a mesh bag, surround them by peat moss or sand, wet that all up, let it drain so that everything isn't saturated, and then throw them in the refrigerator for a month. But you can see that's a bit of a problem when we've got this huge number of seeds. So what the system we plan on using consists of these trays that we constructed. And we're going to need a fair number of these. So we'll have the bottom layer of wet peat moss be filled, and this will supply the moisture and keep our humidity up to the 100% level that we're shooting for. The next bin we will fill up with seeds. Place this on top of that, and then put another layer of peat on top of that, and we will continue to basically stack them up across these pallets until all of our seeds are here. So we want to keep these at refrigerator temperatures. This garage is very chilly. It amazes me sometimes how cold this garage can stay. So we need to make sure that these seeds don't all freeze. So I haven't made this insulated chamber yet, but we're planning to use 2-inch sheet insulation, and this comes in 4 by 8 foot sheets, and so we'll just enclose the whole all the boxes and the pallets. And then to heat this, we'll put a thermostat inside the box and run heat tape underneath the pallets, and we should be able to maintain a very steady temperature. Okay, in addition to the large amounts of seed that we purchased, we also got a large amount of rice hulls. And the purpose of the rice hulls is to trap seeds having different morphology. They're concave in shape, and so individual seeds or multiple seeds will fall down in their cup-like structure and will not settle out in the drill. And so we can just calibrate for the size of the rice hulls rather than individual seeds and get even distribution across the field. To determine the optimum times for seeding, we acquired temperature data for the last 10 years from the Florence weather station. In this graphic, the blue dots represent the average temperature, and the ends of the bars represent the highest and lowest temperature recorded for each month during that time period. The red line is the temperature at which we are stratifying our seeds. And so we don't want our seed stratification area to go above that. So we're fairly safe through March in that regard. And I think we probably could go a little bit later than that due to the cooler temperatures in the greenhouse. The bluer shaded area represents the temperatures at which most of our native seeds will begin to germinate. And so we want to make sure we have our seeds in the ground before then. So we also want to kill winter annuals on sites before we plant or very shortly thereafter. So that indicates a time for planting would probably be in mid-March. So in order to stratify seeds, to meet this time period, we will begin seed stratification in January, and unless we have a very unusual year, we should not have to worry about the temperatures getting too warm. The sub-freezing temperatures the greenhouse has been exposed to over the last couple of weeks have represented a challenge for heating. This is the first time that we've experienced temperatures that low, and we were extremely concerned, and rightly so, that the heater would not be adequate for the job. We supplemented that heat with 2 different electrical heaters, and actually it has worked pretty well. The target temperature is 40 degrees, and we've managed to stay above that even when it was negative 12 degrees at night. We also added 2 more lights to the greenhouse, so we can basically, we don't have to leave plants in certain areas in order to get 12 or more hours of sunlight. Basically everything can be exposed to many hours of sunlight as we want now. Misting system has been up for a while now, but we're not using that in the cold temperatures because the water will freeze on the sides of the greenhouse. But we really need to mist our shrub cuttings. So we made this little chamber, and this is misted for 1 minute every 2 hours. And we're growing bitter brush over here from cuttings. And they seem to be greening up nicely. And we're going to do more cuttings with sagebrush, Artemisia tridentata, the next week, since the bitter brush seems to be working out so well.